Let's start off by doing a simple setup of the echo, like we would any other effects device in Reason, and then go over some of the basics. Just dip our feet in before we take the plunge, right? I currently have a very simple guitar like melody that I've already recorded. Here, I'll play it for you. Yep. It's very much sounds like a keyboardist trying to sound like a guitarist, and no, that's not a compliment. I've adjusted the release just a hair on my NNXT, so there is a little bit of a decay. Subtle attempts at realism. No, there's no realism at all. Stop, just stop. So it goes without saying that some effects at this point would be the only thing that could save this. Period. Well, if anything will. So let's add an echo. Now here's one thing to really know about delay effects. When you drop in an initialized delay unit of any sort in Reason, make sure to adjust the dry wet to somewhere in the middle so that you can hear the echo and the original source at the same time. If you don't, you just hear the echo and not the source, and you won't actually get the echo effect. You just get a delayed signal that sounds slightly at a time. Nobody wants that, right? Let's see this in action. See? No real echo effect when we're all the way wet. Now let's hear it midway. See, this sounds like a pro guitarist now. No, it doesn't. But it does sound much better. Now with the echo in particular, there are some uses for having the knob set all the way to the wet side. But we'll get to this later. Let's talk a little bit about the time knob over here. Known as the rate in some other delay units, the knob simply adjusts how fast the echo occurs. And if it's synced, how and what time signature the echo repeats in. Some people like to adjust this manually, meaning that there is no sync and they just use numbers to go through and find the right timing. Some people like to keep it synced either out of laziness or a need for perfection, or that the tempo changes occur throughout their song, so they want the delay to catch up in time with what's going on. Makes sense. It's all on a case-by-case basis with me, however. Sync and non-synced modes actually both have serious uses with this particular delay, and you'll see this more as we progress. I'm going to play the quote-unquote pro guitar loop and just adjust the rate so that you can hear it in action. While I was adjusting the time, did you notice the weird pitching that was taking place? This is an intended effect which is meant to emulate some of the classic delays of old. This is also a very cool feature of this delay unit that can be exploited in many ways. One example would be emulating record scratches. We'll get to this soon, fear not. Right now, let me turn keep pitch on and let you hear what it sounds like when it's enabled. See, no pitching. The delay just adjusts to the chosen time with no guff. No pitching, no whining. It behaves like an obedient little delay unit should. Now, let's talk about this knob to the right of the time knob, this being the right channel time offset. When this knob is all the way to the left, the right channel of the echo is locked to the same time as the left channel. They're both basically working off the one main time knob. When you adjust the right channel time offset, suddenly the echo becomes a stereo delay unit. In this mode, you can adjust the timing of the right channel, which can really double the intricacy of whatever you're running through your echo unit. Let's hear it in action. See, there's some real possibility for amazing rhythms here. Now let's move across the unit to the ducking knob. Yes, there are quite a few knobs left there, all in due time though. The ducking knob, when activated, causes the echo unit to lower or duck the delayed signal in response to each source signal that comes into the unit. Basically, I play one note, the echo lowers the echoes based on the amount of signal coming in and increases the echoes as the note dies off. This allows you to create definition between the original source, in this case the NNXT, and the multiple echoes that are now being produced by the unit. You may ask, what's the difference between this knob and the dry-wet knob? Well, the dry-wet knob maintains a definitive setting. The ducking knob actually is lowering and raising the dry-wet knob for you in response to the overall volume of the guitar or any signal coming in. This is very helpful with drum loops, by the way. Let's hear this in action. If you rewind back to where I was when there was no ducking, you'll notice that it almost became impossible to tell what was an echo and what wasn't. It was like being in a house of mirrors. With the ducking raised, I still hear the echo effect, but it sounds more natural around my original source part. Now, let's jump back across the unit again over to the feedback knob. Raising the feedback knob greatly increases the overall echo effect. And when critically raised, it actually causes a feedback loop of repetitions of your incoming signal. This knob is highly used on this unit for many things, but for this demonstration, we're simply using it to increase the amount of decay time of our echoes and the overall amount of echoes. But for this demonstration, we're simply using it to increase the amount of decay time of our echoes and the overall amount of echoes. Check it out. Notice how many echoes continually play even after I've stopped my guitar. Now let's lower it down to hear it with no feedback. See, low feedback lowers the overall decay and amount of echoes. Okay, we've got the basics down. Let's move on to the color section of the echo unit and see what it's like when we add a bit of distortion to a delay unit.